That we do, and of course, the season record between both of these teams is currently sitting at 2 games apiece. Rule 1 won the first 2 meetings. Falcons have won the last 2. Let's see who wins this one. It's Falcons and Rule 1 in the grand final of best of 7. Decide who is taking home the Winter Cup as we start off with Rawaz. He had a really good series earlier on against Vision Esports, and Falcons starting things off on the back foot, but this is where Rule 1 like to play. They did like to keep the pressure on against Vision. To be fair, Vision in their series yesterday against Cola seemed to be sitting back a lot, but Rule 1 starting things off aggressively. Falcons now try to get their foot in the door, 45 seconds in, but still no score as both teams start to feel each other out here in Game 1.
Certainly so, but what is an interesting sort of pattern is the statistical side of the game. Rule 1 shouldn't be sort of chalked to the side in any shape or fashion. There are decent goal scores, decent ability on the pitch here, and this sort of idea of knocking on each other's doorsteps here is decent enough here. Ooh. But how about this for the opening goal?
That is absolutely magnificent from O'Khalid. Standout player for this region for the last, really you could say 3 years, 4 years maybe, getting himself on the score sheet nice and early for the Falcons. They don't seem too fazed by all the tech issues that they had back in the Twisted Mind series. It's TRK, the 1v1 player, shows his ability, and Falcons take an early 2-0 lead.
Such a fabulous idea. It moves down, waits for the jump, and when you have that corridor, it's just pure power craft, man. Hits it down, hits it hard, and that's all what they need to do here. And we didn't really have much to debate or to dissect from the series overall here, but what was going to maybe hint towards is this sort of the seasonal split itself, Crafton. Rule 1, if they want to stay competitive for that spot, they've got to win. The problem is I don't think Falcons want to give the same opportunities as Falls, but last time around here.
They certainly don't want to give them that opportunity and go into the Winter Invitational with all to lose on the line, and really cementing their position, maybe even punching their ticket to San Diego a little bit early if everything goes to plan in the Winter Invitational. But of course you need to get through this grand final first if you're Falcons. Can't be buying those plane tickets to California just yet. As Killers gets intercepted by Khalid right back up the other end. Falcons on the move, but Rule 1 just trying to get any space whatsoever. Falcons not affording them that.
Not yet. It'd be a bit of a shame if that was the way that play just naturally dissipated as well. But that LAN, everybody's waiting to get on to it, and we want to see Falcons be there. But of course, you do love to see the representation here, and Rule 1 punches one right through. Falcons, have they been caught napping? I think yes here.
Yeah, that's the opening that Rule 1 needed, and TRK didn't realize that Killers was coming into that top right corner. Thought he had a little bit more time to get that into the blue side of the corner. Well, unfortunately for him, nice vision by Killers. Let's see what Falcons have in response. Oh, it's a big miss from Killers off the backboard, but left it there into the corner for Rule 1 to try and take back downfield. They do really need to get themselves a foothold in here, and this might be the opportunity here. Ahmad now taking off the back wall, dribbling this one forward. Now you want to see Rule 1 start to turn the pressure on again. They're back within 1. All they need to do is keep this one down the blue half of the field, and the door will eventually open. Not quite there.
Not yet here, but it's nice to see what O'Khalid was trying to do this time in a break free. And after that sort of goal by Rule 1, what has been an interesting development has been the positional play. A bit more further drop back Rule 1 has been so far, so a few opportunities opening up here, but here's where the problem is. How much space is too much space? And TRK, well, he fancied a lot of space there, but not really a threatening shot this time around.
Yeah, they do seem to be affording Falcons way too much space. I did point that out as well, that Rule 1 are just being closed in, choked in. Not even just in their own half, Danny, but like everywhere they try to get this ball downfield. Just seems there's always a Falcons player, or maybe even 2, like TRK was right there. This could be a huge counter if Falcons could go up 3-1. Now Cal's going to have to take this one out of the corner, leaves it for his teammates, but no one else is around to take that ball other than Rawaz, who gets demoed for his kind efforts taking that one back into the corner. But Falcons again on the charge.
Nice follow through here. The demo, as you've been speaking about, has played at least a small role in this active play downfield here, and pops it across there. Not necessarily anything threatening here just yet here, but Real One, they sense the gap there here, and we do like a good phases of play in Craftman. We do love our phases of play in rugby. Bacon mentioned it earlier. Scotland versus Ireland will be an interesting feat here, but these two Titans certainly slugging it out here. We might see maybe a scrum or two in the middle.
We'll see about that in 3 weeks' time, Danny. But regardless of the rugby happening, not this weekend, but we'll focus on the Rocket League for now. We can talk about the rugby a little bit later on. As Khaled to the back wall, doesn't need a third goal, but he will not mind taking one. 5 seconds on the board, and it's safely into the hands of Khaled, who's just going to drain this clock dry. And that should be Falcons taking this one, unless a miracle can happen. It's a miracle the other way. It's not needed, but Khaled, a third goal. Falcons game 1.
Well, a bit of an unfortunate ending, that one. But again, in these situations, if you're not going to keep it up, you might as well just let it go anywhere. There's no point, Craftman, in trying to move across here. But what has been an interesting feat of this series so far is we saw basically 3 separate thirds there. We've seen Falcons at their best, we've seen Real One coming back, and then we saw something. We just can't work out whether it was Real One just playing too afraid, or does Falcons just put the pressure back on there.
I mean, you see the shot counter there, 6-3 in favor of Falcons, and it's kind of the opposite of what we saw in the Real One game earlier on when they were taking on Vision. It just seemed like Real One had all the possession, all the time in the world, and now that's been taken away from them by Falcons. And I suppose going up 2-0 very early on in the first 30 seconds or so really didn't help Real One's thoughts and abilities to go through that one and just try and get something out of that, because they were playing on the back foot pretty much the entire time during that game. So now you want to see them come out the traps early and really start to put the pressure on Falcons, because that's when Falcons really started to show the chinks in the armor.
Well, we've been saying this for a very long time before MENA had an RLCS spot, Craftman. We cast at the final when it was the top 2 teams at the time, and it wasn't under Falcons, it was Sandrock Gaming. And what the history was, every time we came across it, the team that actually attacked them, that put on their pressure, always made the series a lot more interesting, a lot more tighter, and we've already seen it in the fall. The problem is we don't see it every game consistently. That needs to keep on happening here, and we're already on a strong start.
As we advance on to game number 2, the beautiful Forbidden Temple. Glad to see that back in to the RLCS map rotation. Real One again just trying to keep pressure on early and often. They're taking our advice here, Danny. They're keeping the ball in favor of themselves. TRK doing nice work there in the corner to try and get the ball back into Falcons territory. Now Killers over to the right. Rawaz tried to tip that. I think he tried to tip it net bound, but Mazen is there. Maybe on the I think he was trying to get the ball into the corner, but unfortunately TRK was there and he just booms it long. 1-0.
Try to actually dunk it down based on the projection of it here. Shame we don't have Psycho in our ear, the coach of the SAM region, who would probably have the read on that. Shame Real One didn't have it, but again, everything was right. They had the pressure, they had the attack, just not the execution. This is not the time when you just change the game plan when something doesn't work. This isn't a complete catastrophe just yet.
Falcons have had that international experience as well. They know different play styles from around the world, and they've been able to adapt their game throughout the years to thrive in this region of the RLCS, finally getting, MENA on the map, and now Real One coming in, obviously learning from Falcons' experience themselves. But as we kind of mentioned at the start of the show, Danny, the entire MENA region as a whole, even Falcons and Real One themselves, have kind of dropped off this season, this split, whatever you want to call it. They do need to start stepping their game up to compete with the rest of the world, but that starts with making each other better, and Falcons seem to have that. But that was a very awkward play in front of the Falcons net. Could have had Rule 1 back on the board as Rawaz now looking to find a man in the middle, but TRK and Amad will just split sticks, and Khaled now just taking it straight to Mazen, and now finally Rule 1 maybe have a bit of consistent pressure, but still no goal to show.
No pressure that would sit here and make me sort of go, however, and sort of go, this is a threatening opportunity here for Rule 1. Yes, that ball's being lobbed into it, but there's no second man following. So all these long balls being put across here for the football fanatics among ourselves. It's a factly spray and hit sort of type approach here. Hopefully you had a big 6-foot striker, but they don't have a Peter Crouch, but they do need a crutch here at the moment. That one's a bit shaky, but again, Falcons this time around not pressuring the ball. That's unusual for them. A lot of potentially respect here, or maybe the Falcons here just want to see what Rule 1 have on offer before they have that knockout blow.
Maybe even gearing up for a bit of a counter-attack and try and draw Falcons in, but the Falcons, like I said, with the experience they have, they know the silly mistakes not to make, and they know with that 1-0 lead, they're happy to maybe even just push 2 men forward, leave 1 man back, and it's TRK, he's going to go for net from this distance away, and Miller's able to read that, and back to midfield. Here comes Ahmad. How much boost does he have? Maybe just enough. He couldn't get it past the last man though, Danny. And the technical ability from really all 6 players on this field is, so Khaled tries to jump it down. Ahmad top left, 2-0 Falcons.
That's absolutely fabulous there. Look at the technical ability on this one. Has the potential to shoot. Maybe an unfortunate point. Looks like it came off a Khaled nonetheless, and passed right in for the goal. I'm not saying here, but Falcons at their best? No, but it's getting there.
Yeah, but potentially. I mean, we've yet to see. I would even argue that Falcons this season have not been playing at their best, yet they have still won most of the regionals. Well, I say most. They've won 2? No, they've won 3. What am I on about? They won Fall Cup, Fall Invitational, and then they won the Winter Cup Open, and they might even take it. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself with the Winter Cup, but
you are Craftman.
A little bit.
Would you like the iron that would be graving the trophy off your hands there? Because it looks like a Falcons 4-0 the way you're going there.
I'm not saying anything. I'm an unbiased, impartial caster here. Going all fancy on you. Rule 1 need to really step up the fancy a little bit. I don't fancy that play though. Khalir's and Rawaz in a very awkward scenario. Khaled try to get, oh bang! That was almost a goal of the series so far. Not quite goal of the day. He had that TRK goal in Wasteland to open up the scoring on against Twisted Minds a little bit earlier. With 30 seconds left, Rule 1 really need to pull something out the bag, and Rawaz is going to have to stop this shot long, and he does so. 22 seconds to get back downfield. It's looking unlikely though as Falcons with that 2-goal advantage, Danny.
Certainly so. There is at least one play here. It's unlikely to break through because of that defensive touch here. I'm not saying here, but I mean, maybe it might be an omen, Craftman, the fact that you think already that certain victory is going to be in the column here, because if you're a coach in this situation, you've got to sit here and ask, what do I have to offer here? And that's going to be a big problem.
Yeah, I mean, I have been known in the past, Danny, to call games a little bit too early, but I think I was safe in the knowledge that Falcons will take that one away. Let's have a look at the stats. I'd be interested to see this. Again, like shots, exactly even, 6 shots apiece between them. So Rule 1 getting a few more chances, but none of them really felt like they were going anywhere at all, Danny.
No, it's one of those situations you looked at and you're sort of going, Gio Watts here. This could have been so much more threatening. This could have been so much... You know, when the series, Craftman, you just sit there and you're sort of going, is there hope for a team here? And you look at Rule 1 and you're going, no. I'm sitting here sort of trying to give him an option. Is there thoughts here? But there's no clear exit. There's no clear attacking opportunity. And that's what's killing any statistic we have right now. Gone over the window.
Well, Rule 1 are going to have a chat about it. They have taken their tactical timeout. Smart place to use it, obviously. Down 2-0 in any given series. You don't want to wait until you're 3-0 down to use that timeout, because then you need to end up reverse sweeping. So try to talk through it in this 2-minute break with about a minute left in it now. I would say that Rule 1, again, it just comes down to aggression. I mean, the chances that they were getting, they were there. I mean, obviously, you saw the 6 shots on the stat sheet at the end, but again, none of them felt threatening at all. Falcons had the rotations down, even the shots that were coming from Rule 1, yes, they were registering, but they didn't have the pace, they didn't have the creativity behind them. It just all feels a little bit flat right now for Rule 1.
Yeah, I think the fact that we feel both in a similar footstep there, Crafters, because when you look at the series here, you always have that sort of spark in the terms of a player stepping up or something to happen as well. The fact that we're talking about 3 shots, and I think if you're being honest with each other here, how many of them were memorable? How many there could you actually sit there and start going, you know, that actually brought the defender out, or that moved the play here? Very few there. The closest we saw probably was more recency bias with Ahmed blocking the shot there at the end. But at that point, 2-0 down with a few seconds, that was, you know what, let's see what we can do. But thankfully for them, it's a best of 7, Craftman. There's still time on the table.
There's still time out there, but take time out over, and the time is only 2 seconds off the clock, Danny, and it was enough for TRK to go 1-0 up. Oh my god, this is disaster out of the timeout for Rule 1.
What were they talking about, Craftman? That is what I would like to know. Meant to be a secret 60 seconds to sit there and sort out, iron the problems out here, and that might actually be the worst defender in terms of goals conceded, because they put all the pressure on their shoulders, but that's a response, but pushed away at the end.
The stats of winning games out of your own timeouts are through the roof. I don't know the exact numbers, but it's got to be in the 60, 70, maybe even 80% of the time you're going to win your game after a timeout in a best of 7. But this just become a whole lot trickier, not just because of that 1-0 deficit, but Rule 1 will probably be thinking, what have we done wrong? What can we do to take down the kings of this region in Team Falcons? It's going to be a really tough, really long mountain to climb. But Rule 1 will be fighting tooth and nail. And like we've been alluding to, still plenty of time to do it. Very smart demolition onto Ahmad to get him out of the play, because that could have easily been 2-0. Now Rawaz over to his teammate of Killers in the middle right there. Couldn't get the shot quite on target. This is open net. Oh, it's Killers. Oh, he needed... I thought Rawaz was going to turn on that one.
What you thought of, Falcons saw through their crystal ball. Ooh. No haze, however, in terms of their vision. They've done absolutely well so far here, but that statistic you're talking about, I think it's actually quite in the high 80s. What is, however, the more interesting sort of fact as well too, it's usually a quite high scoring game, especially not in the main regions, in the likes of Europe and the likes of NA, Sam, MENA. The goals go up near enough double, if not treble. Falcons seem to have got the better of their opposition timeouts.
They're doubling up, tripling up, quadrupling up on Rule 1. Right now it's 2 to the good for the current champions of the region. And really you could say eternal champions of the region. These guys are superstars in their part of the world. They're starting to become superstars on the major stages as well. As we said earlier, not the best showing in Rotterdam, but if they are to make it to San Diego over Rule 1, presumably, they're going to have a better showing than they did last time out. But they are very capable of moving up the world rankings and moving MENA up into that top 8 as well to get them in that extra spot. But right now they've got to focus on keeping that lead against Rule 1, and Rule 1 really need to start digging deep, looking for any chink in the armor that Falcons are showing. But Falcons really just have everything tied up in a nice little bow right now, Danny. I'm not seeing a lot going wrong with how they're playing.
Certainly not. Falcons do what they have to, rotate out, a lot of space given for at least the options of the exit, especially when they're playing defensively. Rule 1, you just have to look at how they're approaching the ball here. It's very obvious. If not, it's just hit it, lump it down and break it free. That's how the original play this time around started. But you talk about Rotterdam, that LAN experience, I mean, Falcons, every other player dreams to be on those stage here. Rule 1 felt heartache when they didn't have that opportunity to feel as a player, walking out on that stage here. They have it still in their hands here, of course. They make that a possibility this time around here, but Kraven, they don't want to feel disappointment the second time around here, but that 2 goals is separating them from it though.
And the 2 men that Killers got the ball around there were just enough, and couldn't get it past the third. Has to make the save there, and does. Beautifully done, but now Rule 1 really need to start flipping field position damn quickly if they're going to get anything in this grand final. Here's the shot from Rawaz, and it's off the backboard and in, draws it back within 1.
Fabulously moves across. It was the first time we saw Falcons lumped together, and anywhere on the net, bar where the keeper was, that was a goal. Rule 1 for the second now consecutive time has got themselves back in a Craftsman. That's what they needed to do. Now the hard bit, can you get the second one?
That is going to be it. Oh, Hamad almost did it himself. He hit change team for a second. He was orange for half a second there, Danny. He almost put it in the back of his own net, but TRK might make amends off the post. Nice save from Rawaz to pinch that one away. But now Falcons, they want to regain that 2-goal lead. Now with less than a minute left, Rawaz off the top of TRK. Mazin flying up for this one. The injection of adrenaline has to be running through the veins of the guys on Rule 1, knowing that they have a chance to get this series back on track for themselves, but they've got to do it quickly. Only 35 seconds left on the clock.
Well, might be that one push that you're talking about. Slice to the back wall here, spilt middle, and that's a decent cut here. It should be a bump, no follow through. Ideally, this is a pass. It is a pass, and it's just slightly too wide off the mark.
It's got to hit its target, even if there's a man in net. You've got to force him to make the play. And it just wasn't there for Rule 1. 10 seconds to go. Need to get this to avoid having to reverse sweep. Mazin to Killers. Rawaz was a little bit too close in, and that might just give it to Falcons to run this clock dry. Oh, Khaled might even get a third. Nice block from Mazin, but it's going to hit the ground, and Falcons are 1 game away from becoming regional champions once more.
The fact that we talked about the timing, we talked about the benefit of it. A few seconds into this game already, they conceded. Rule 1, I'm not saying they're their own worst nightmare right now, but they're looking at themselves in their own reflection, Craftman, and they've got to dig deep to find an answer here, because right now they've been played off defensively. Defensively, you look at it and start going, wow. Offensively, it's just not there. I'm not saying, Craftman, I don't have any answers, and that's something that I don't say often.
Yeah, you've always got something to say as we have a look at the replays, and it was that 2-second goal really was the kicker for Rule 1, having conceded that and having to claw their way back in. But nice attempt there from Rawaz, and despite how well Rule 1 are playing, don't get me wrong, they have been playing decently well. Like, something that, you know, pro players have told me in the past is 90% of Rocket League is played in the mind. It is all a mental game, and Rule 1 having, you know, played the way they have and feeling, okay, this should have gone our way, that should have gone our way. You can't really think about that. You've got to get that out of your head. Pretend it's 0-0 in the series. Obviously, it's going to be 0-0 going into this game here on Utopia Coliseum. But they've just got to get the bad stuff out of their mind, focus 1 game at a time, and get themselves back on track towards potentially another regional under their belt. That would be the first one in quite a while, but of course, here we go. Falcons in Rule 1, destined to do this forever. They've only got the next 5 minutes or so to stamp their mark of Rule 1 to get back in this.
Battle of the Grey Matter. That's where it seems to be right now, and Rule 1 has to do a job right now, and that's to find at least the opening goal here. Let's dictate the tempo, let's dictate the pressure. Everything else far from that will not be good enough here, and that's a decent block here to force Rule 1 to be in their own defensive quarters. And you know what here, Falcons, you know what, they have a crown on their head, and it's not weighing them down in the slightest.
Not whatsoever. We thought their crown might have been waning a little bit back in the fall split, but here in winter they've really solidified their place at the top of the table. Yep, they've thrown to themselves as Rule 1 tries to scratch and claw their way through, and maybe an heir apparent. Maybe that time will come, but right now it does seem like Falcons are holding on, and holding on really damn well as well. Ahmad tried to get it over to Khaled, but Killers right back down the other end. Mazen tried to shoot, but again, Falcons just being an absolute nuisance to everything that Rule 1 tries to do.
That's a decent shot up target. I want to be a nuisance in these situations of maybe finding an answer here, and you know what? If you're in this situation, you try to play Falcons on the ground or in the air. Rule 1 probably fancy their job in the air. They have done so far here, but they've got no boost here. Only one player, and he's on the ball right now, and that's a fabulous pop-up drop straight down, and that's the problem with the space. Need to be a lot more tighter.
And they've been really predictable as well. Falcons have read everything that Rule 1 have been doing, but not that one. Rawaz manages to get it through from Mazen in the corner. The slow play through, what a maneuver to get that split the sticks. Rule 1, their first lead of the series.
What? Say that again?
Their first lead of the series. I'm pretty sure that is their first lead.
If you're in disbelief as well, keep continuing with the disbelief, but there might be a second goal here, but two excellent saves of the Falcons here. They have unfortunately taken a big umbrage against Rule 1. They've just annoyed the beast. They've scored one now.
Have they awakened the beast? With that first one on the board for Rule 1 for the first time in this grand final. Could they just hold on? Khaled, he's going to try and find any hole in your defense. Now this is where Rule 1 are really going to be tested. Can you hold on to this lead or even extend it? Because the way Falcons have been playing doesn't seem that way, but it is one-on-one with Killers, and he's got it over the defender. 2-0 Rule 1.
That is finally pressure exerted, delivered. And you know what, their TRK just jump in the moment that you launch craft, when you know it yourself in your own gameplay. Everybody at home, try to reposition yourself the moment that jump comes across. Not the right angle, no save. That's it simple. Rule 1, can they do it? Ooh. For the neutral sake, I hope so.
Oh, but Falcons trying to get something through. This is an open net. Oh, Mazen takes his time. Excuse me, that was Rawaz. Mazen is now going to be on the follow-up. But that was potentially a Game 5 clincher to get us through to Wasteland. TRK, middle to Khaled, but denied by Mazen. And Rule 1 now starting to find their ways, find their rhythm. And this is exactly what we said. As soon as they get into a rhythm, that is when they start to come to fruition. And Falcons seem to be on the back foot, and they're not responding well at the moment. Ahmad could get one back here, but not enough boost.
If you look through the history book, it's usually a lot more of a tighter affair. This matchup here, the fact that Falcons is running away in 3 games, this is much needed. And look at that. Open. Wide open. The kingdom has lost its keys, and a bull is running rampant.
The Red Sea parting, and everyone from Falcons trying to get that first goal on the board for themselves and pull the gap back within 1. You really can't blame them. Of course, they have the games to work with. But maybe this one will be going the way of Rule 1. And a valiant comeback after having lost their the game that they came out of a timeout for. Now having to reverse sweep with no timeouts left on their side of the ball. This is going to be a huge task for Rule 1 if they obviously they've done so well to get it to Game 5 now, Danny. The question is, can they get it to 6 and even 7?
Well, that's a very good question, but can I put that question on pause? I'm going to ask you one.
Go ahead.
Oh, serious Craftman, you know when it's that go ahead.
Go ahead.
Does Falcons,
I'm all ears, Danny.
Do they pull a timeout here? They've lost 1 game. Do they put the foot effectively on the other shoe here?
Oh, that would be interesting. I would probably not. Me personally, I would not take the timeout if you're Falcons. I'd wait until Rule 1 have that second game under the belt if they are to go and do it, because yeah, you could maybe even just scratch this up as an anomaly game for Falcons. Like, oh, it's Killers. Oh my goodness. 4 for the road. Rawaz gets another one for Rule 1. But yeah, I think if you're Falcons, I would rather just go into the next game, just try and get back on track, and then use your timeout if you end up going to Game 6. I don't think you would use it before Game 7. I think if you're going to use it anytime, it would be before Game 6 to try and kill the momentum somewhat.
That's a good answer, because I'm sitting here in the middle debating in my head, Craftman, but your question is at 5, 6, or maybe 7. It's when do you pull that time out of your Falcons? That's in my head here, because they've just came back 4-0, and Rule 1 showing that sense of, do you know what, we may have a comeback, we might have a chance. Do we just quash it now, or do you know, let them have their hope. Let them have that confidence in that brain matter you're talking about earlier. Is that the confidence what might undo Falcons? I'm debating on the scale right now, but I say this game will definitely go to 6.
10 shots for Rule 1, the most that they've had, and the first time that they've been ahead in the shot counter this series. And I suppose most of those shots would probably have came after the 2-0, and Falcons just trying to desperately cling on and get anything they can. But look at this first one from Mazen over to Ruaz was a thing of beauty. And I mentioned it in, I think it was Game 3, the shot of adrenaline that Rule 1 needed. That is the confidence that they really needed to instill in themselves. Getting that first one on the board for themselves in this Game 4 to try and kickstart this reverse sweep potentially. It's going to do their mental huge wonders. And of course, we've talked about the mental game now going into Game 5. It's now about keeping that consistent. Keeping that consistent straight off the kickoff, get the pressure early, and put Falcons in a different position. They've not shown they can do it consistently across multiple games. We'll see that in Game 5 potentially.
That's the difficult bit of that question is, will they? But let's take the positive of this game here as well, Craftman, of the Rule 1 playstyle. They came out of the blocks, they did attack, they had the aggression, they had everything we've been asking for. And that question that you put on, can that consistency be there? Yes, but there's one problem. You're playing Falcons. They might not get that opportunity again.
Yeah, we have seen the consistency in the past, but of course the dominating factor in this one is the current MENA champions, and probably the one of the best, one highly rated as one of the better teams in the entire world, not just this region of Team Falcons. But hey ho, seconds in, they've already had maybe 1, maybe 2 chances have Rule 1, so trying to turn the tides here as we get into the deep waters of this grand final. And let's try to put a little bit of pressure under the finger of Falcon. I don't even know what I was trying to say there. But the finger of Falcons? Do they have fingers?
Shall we have a caster timeout there, Crafters?
Yeah, I need a timeout myself. Tactical timeout for Craftman.
Well, Crafters there takes a moment there, recompose here. That's exactly what Rule 1 has been able to achieve so far. But that's under the thumb, the rule and the pressure that Falcons there. They did have a shot there, glance wide. But again, they still keep it on the pressure. And that's where the element of doubt when that question was brought to her there. That's another strong 50 here. Is it a shot? Yes, it was, but dealt away.
And there was a moment there where I think it was TRK, had a shot across the face of the net. 9 times out of 10, he scores that. But might he score this? He will! Oh, under pressure, under siege, but he still finds a way to put Falcons ahead.
Jumped up at the right time, tries to give the teammate as much possibility. Ruaz left in an awkward situation. And you know what? There probably is a small little smile on Falcons' team comms right now, because they've got them where they want it. Now is it the squirm, or do they break free from the trap?
I said the biggest test for Rule 1 so far in this series is when they were up 1-0, but now they're down 2-0 on match point against them. This is the time where they really need to dig deep, as Ahmad just paints that top right corner. That top right corner getting a battering in the first 2 minutes of this game number 5. But Rule 1 need to find something to get themselves back in against Falcons, because they have been afforded the space. This is something we picked up in game number 1 here, Danny, is that Falcons have weren't affording Rule 1 the space. Now they're starting to respect the ball a little bit more, as Killers just rushes in on that one. I think that was maybe a bit of a miscomm. Now Rawaz with a man to the right of him. I don't really know what that play was. That was just pure chaos what is going on? Rule 1 really need to clean their game up.
I think this is the art of confusion. Yes, if you don't
They
know
are
what we're doing,
they're
we're
confusing themselves more than Falcons, though, Danny, as they've just left the net wide open and TRK has a second.
Do you have your land ticket booked by any chance, Craftman, or are you waiting for it goes on sale?
For San Diego?
Yeah.
I think I will be missing San Diego, unfortunately, this time around.
That's a shame. I think Rule
It is a
1
shame.
might be missing out as well too with all the chaos of the luggage. Might be one trapped with the stewardess here. We might need a bit of assistance.
By the way, get your land tickets now. RLCS.gg/tickets. It's somewhere. It's on the RLCS Twitter.
Yes, go on the Twitter. Go through our Twitter as well to find it too.
At the Rocket RB as well, and perhaps Falcons might be booking their tickets a little bit early to San Diego. Of course, you got one regional left after this, and still 2 minutes left in this game against Rule 1, potentially in this series as well. TRK takes this from the right-hand side, looking to put the nail squarely into the coffin. Rule 1 will not relent. They will not give up. They will never surrender as Killers gets a big demo, but no one was there to follow up, and TRK just booms it back long, wastes even more time off this clock, and gets a fourth to boot.
And this is just going to be fantastic for the regional standings as well. So 4 points of a difference, keep adding it up here. At one point, the official mathematician Direk is probably going to sit there when he does his what does a team need scenario. I think maybe just reaching the semi-final, that's what Falcons might just need, but of course he'll confirm that soon enough. But 4-0, do you know what? Deserving champions based on how they've played so far.
Certainly have, and I don't think their ticket to San Diego is guaranteed quite yet for the Falcons. They would have to put on their usual performance in the Winter Invitational in a couple of weeks if they have any shot, or to confirm their place, I should say, in San Diego. And of course, we mentioned it earlier, MENA having to do a lot of work now to catch up to the rest of the world, with a couple of the South American teams taking a few of the top spots away in the world rankings and trying to give themselves an extra couple of teams, whereas Falcons, they managed to get their auto qualification spot into the World Championship last season and get 2 extra teams there to boot. It's going to be an uphill battle. We'll see how, whether it's Falcons or whether it's Rule 1 going to San Diego, how they perform. But right here, right now, the Winter Cup, it looks like it's all Falcons.
Well, it has been from the moment this grand final kicked off here, which was a slight bit of a shame, I have to confess here, because everything that we've been looking for, hoping for, had the elements of a potential classic. But again, Falcons, they do what Falcons do best, and that's win. They don't know how to lose. That must be a great feeling to have, Krell.
Soaring high like the Falcons that they are, they take the win here in the Winter Cup Grand Final. 4 games to just the 1 for Rule 1, and Falcons flying high, and they seem to just have an absolute chokehold over Rule 1. They've won the last now 3 meetings against Rule 1, all coming in Grand Finals. Maybe it's going to be the same in the Winter Invitational, but for now, Falcons get to celebrate this win as they top the table in the Winter standings.
Certainly so. It has been a classic in terms of the performance that Falcons displayed here. But Craftman, that does leave a few scenarios, a few potential problems that Rule 1 has. I think, if my mathematics is right, don't trust me here, if Falcons reach, I think, the final, that's them guaranteed. It requires them to drop slightly earlier, and Rule 1 being the closest to win. That's roughly give or take. But we stream the MENA Day 3, see him like the Sam Day 3 as well. And we also have a pre-show. So that means we might also, funny enough, break all that down closer to the time.
Yes, of course, but for now, let's take a look at the bracket for one final time just to see how everything shaked out. Of course, we had the 2 semi-finals and the grand final that you just saw as well. Falcons beating Rule 1 in said grand final. Of course, they beat Twisted Minds and Outsiders on the way there. Twisted Minds, I would say they put up a really good fight one of the better fights against Team Falcons. Obviously, the only game that they won was via forfeit, but yeah, in Rule 1, Vision Esports, just a little bit of domination there. I would like, I posed this question at the start of the day, Danny, to James and Jam. Who would you say right now in MENA is best of the rest? You've got Vision Esports, Cola's a good pick, as well as Twisted Minds. Even you could even go Empty as well. I want to get your thoughts on that. Who's best of the rest right now?
To me, I'll give you the order. Rule 1, Vision Gaming, Twisted Minds. I go in that order.
I just so outside
second,
of Falcons,
third, and fourth. Yeah.
So outside of Falcons and Rule 1, you would go Twisted Minds then Vision?
No, other way around.
Or other way around, Vision then Twisted Minds.
Yes.
Yeah, I can agree. I think Cola is a really good up-and-coming team. I watched their series against Vision Esports yesterday. That was absolutely phenomenal. Really could have gone either way. But yeah, it's a really stacked region. Very well stacked in the way of it's heavy, top heavy, in the form of Falcons and Rule 1. But like I alluded to at the start of the day, they seem destined to do this forever. Both Falcons and Rule 1 qualified for the rest of the regionals for the rest of the season. They'll be in the Invitational in a couple of weeks' time, and they'll be in every single spring regional as well. So it's only a matter of time until we see maybe Falcons just win out the rest of the season, or do you see Rule 1 maybe even sneaking a couple of regional wins in there, Danny?
I would be surprised if Falcons, and I'll answer it this way, if Falcons don't drop a final at some point. I'd be surprised, and I'll leave it like that. I'm not going to say who's going to win it, because I think the region's much more open than that. But again, how well Falcons wants to play, that is going to be another question for another day too.
One word answer, and then we'll sign off for the day, Danny. Does anyone other than Falcons and Rule 1 win a regional for the rest of the season?
No.
Got it. Thank you for watching, everyone. Here on the Rocket RB, we're so honored to bring you this English language stream for both MENA and, as Danny said earlier, South America as well. We'll be live for that next Sunday.
Crafters.
For the... Is that for the Winter Invitational?
That's for the Invitational, but I also have an announcement, if you don't mind.
Oh, go ahead.
For anybody who is just tuning in, there's actually going to be a short break from the MENA broadcast. We're actually going to be streaming the SAM Invitational qualifier in about an hour's time here on the Rocket as well. Bit of extra double bumper bonus here for you all.
So make sure you hit that follow button so you don't miss a single broadcast that we have here on the Rocket RB. Phenomenal team behind the scenes that make this all happen as well. So from myself, from Danny, from all the casters that have been live here today, we thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week for the SAM